So we back again.
Life in Red and Black. We're at episode 4.
Yeah.
Progressing slowly but surely. Thanks to Nandi who came in for our last episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We're looking forward to some of your messaging, asking her more about her journey that she may not have discussed. We had a great time.
Yeah, boy. And she told me that there's a lot of stuff that she forgot to mention. But yeah, when you in this sort of position, you just don't always remember everything. There's be a little pressure and stuff. So
yeah, she did a good job.
Yeah,
we were happy. We were happy. Nandi, we were happy. And before we move on with today's topic, we have to say happy birthday to a special person, Mr.
Westu
Wallace.
Yeah.
It's his birthday today, which actually coincides with the day 3 years ago that my husband proposed to me.
Yeah, very special day.
Did you know that, James? Today's a special day. He got down on his knees and asked me to be his wife.
You feel my pain. Oh, man.
So that actually seamlessly brings us into the topic we want to talk about today, because Sunday is Mother's Day, and we want to talk about blending families. Blend it till you get it right.
Yeah, and in our journey, we have learned it's not as easy as it seems. But
no,
if you get the right, I guess formula, you can somewhat make it work.
Well, I want to say that this topic is, I think, probably one of the most sensitive ones that we'll possibly ever do. We are allowing you into our private space to some degree to share, because we know that we're not the only ones out there that are blending families. A lot of people now don't actually come from homes that have the same mother and the same father. And there are a lot of different things that come up, and most of it we're not really prepared for. So let's dive right in. You following my lead or your lead?
I can follow your lead because I need a tank for this one.
So we're just gonna go through what have been some of our challenges, how we've tried to fix them, how we've tried to work with them. I don't even know if fix them is the right word, but work with them and find solutions to them. And we want your feedback as well too, maybe if you feel comfortable sharing, what you've been through and solutions that you found, so that we can actually make Barbados a better place, because family is where it all starts.
Yep. Family at home, family on the streets, family at work.
So for those of you who may not know, I have one son. His name is Manasseh, and he is 10 years old.
And I have 4 kids. It's Christiana, Fabiana, Fabio, and Keandre.
Ranging from 16 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who could have prepared us for actually making it happen. Well, I think, okay, so for me, the hardest challenge, and I think it still can be a challenge, but I think we've come quite a ways with it, was being on the same page, especially pertaining to discipline.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their own ideas based on how they were disciplined when they were younger and how they see it working.
Yeah. So I would say that in the discipline part, I actually have learned a lot in our journey as well in that area. And for me, it was a hard pill to swallow, like the way I was disciplined and the way Claire was disciplined. And then there was somewhat of a clash in between in which person thinking which way is the best way. So there's where the problem started in the beginning. Right.
So Fabian, I want to say, came up a little bit more old school.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Barbadians are going to be on his page for sure, where you get lashes, right? You get lashes. For me, when it comes to the old school way, and I think generally the Caribbean way of giving lashes, I I understand it to be. I think there are times when kids are doing something naughty and you need to stop them in the middle of what they're doing to let them know you need to stop and you need to shake up. And, you know, I mean, I got the occasional smack on the bum, but I didn't grow up with lashes. That was not my way. And I just find that there are times as parents, parenting is very stressful. Parenting is something that pushes you to the edge a lot, right? And I find at times like that, that's when we're more likely to want to give children lashes. And so because we're not in that frame of mind, we're not usually in a clear frame of mind, the lashes are given largely from a place of anger. And I don't think that that's always the constructive way to actually discipline a child.
Right. So for me, as I was saying that earlier, I think from the way I was brought up, the way I was trained is having lashes as I thought was the best way to go, because it gets the point of across, and you get usually you get each other to come in line. But as I was saying, in my journey, I have learned that sometimes you don't always have to resort to lashes to get a point across. And then sometimes too, I found that looking back, sometimes you used to get lashes and not even know what you're getting lashes for.
Yeah.
Right? And that is something that is never really happy for the child.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we as parents need to have a little more patience, have an understanding of the child, and they think that a child should have a space where he or she can have a voice to explain certain stuff before you actually lay a punishment, depending on if it's lashes or taking away something from them.
In my case, when I was growing up, I had a really bad temper, and to some degree, a little bit still.
Right.
A little bit.
She said a little bit.
A little bit. But my mom used to put me in my bed, and she used to put me in my bed for like what felt like a whole day, which I'm sure it was probably like a half an hour to calm down. And I hated it. Like, I think I would have actually taken the lashes and gotten them out the way. But what it did was it made me realize I had to calm down and I had to think about what I had done or said or whatever the case may have been. And that's the thing. You want your kids to be able to develop their own consciousness, and they need to be able to work through that by taking time out. Having said that, though, the bigger issue is not really whether it was lashes or not lashes. The bigger issue was both of us as parents agreeing what the consequences would be for certain actions, right? So, it does require a lot of conversation. And you have to show a united front, which is difficult. It's difficult especially in the beginning phases, if you don't have, the person's in the midst of giving the punishment. You don't want to make the kids see you against the other parent, and that's not always easy. It's not always easy. But we
have developed some various ways, and when in terms of punishment. We actually had two jars.
I was wondering if we should discuss that now or for a point down. But you know what? Let's just go with the flow. What did we do, hon? That was a pretty good one.
I actually think that was the best punishment system we had. And we actually had punishment. The kids developed one for us too.
Yeah.
Because, when you look at life, right? Even like, if we say the government and stuff, it's like, you got this saying, do as I say,
but not as I do.
And I think that when we look at that whole system, right, it's very one-sided.
It's flawed.
You understand? So, and we are teaching our children the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that if I'm able to punish you for something you're doing wrong, I think that you should be able to do the same for me. And we give our kids that privilege where if we step out the line.
So wait, let's go back. What did we do first of all?
Right.
So it's not they didn't come lashing us.
Right. So we had a jar. We set up a jar where
one was for the kids and one was for us.
Right.
The
one for the kids were the various things that they shouldn't do, and the punishments that come if they did these things. So
What was the punishments? Remember?
Right. So I can't remember all.
Reading a book was one for sure.
Cleaning. Cleaning was another punishment.
Tablet taken away.
Beach time taken away. Right. Park time taken away. We're going to the park and stuff because they love to go to the park. Right.
I think we threw some exercises in there as well. As well too.
Yes.
So I mean, some of you guys may argue, well, you shouldn't punish your child by making them do things that they should like doing, but whatever. Yeah. I think you gotta work with it sometimes too. Yeah. And then on our end, they got to choose things that they didn't want us to do.
Right. One was like arguing with each other, shouting at each other.
Yeah, right. Which does happen from time to time. Not reading them bedtime stories, right. Promising them things and not following through. Right. So we both had our bowls and we kept them on top of the fridge. And if we broke them or if they broke them, then we got the jar and they got to pull. So they didn't even know what punishment was coming. Yeah.
You pull from the jar and then that's your punishment for the day.
Yeah.
So that I actually think that was working. That system was definitely working.
Yeah. So they had a time. So Fabian and I, we were having a heated discussion in our room, and I was trying not to let them hear, and I'm like talking through gritted teeth, and then I hear, and I'm standing there. One of the kids has the jar in their hand. They're like, "You need to pull from the jar, Auntie." So it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked.
It worked. So being on the same page, that's number one importance for sure.
Definitely.
Number two, trying to continue as you were. And this is, I think, a tricky one to even know when you're in the midst of doing that. So that's basically where, I would have had my own lifestyle before I met you. You would have had your own lifestyle. Yeah. And now we're trying to make the two things fuse. So again, it's this, who's right, who's wrong?
And that's where compromise. Compromising is something that I guess that is the...
Shouldn't they teach you how to friggin' compromise when you're at school?
I think so. I definitely think so. Because
there's a very fine line between compromising and drawing boundaries with someone. A very, very fine line. Yeah.
Because you don't want to compromise into the degree where a person's walking over you.
Yeah.
Right? And doing as they please feel with you. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what would have been specific situations in terms of... So one that comes to mind would have been like cooking and eating habits. That was one that we had to work through. Yeah, boy. Because
being that she is a nutrition background, and
I think the kids probably saw me a little too strict in the beginning.
Yes. So it's like trying to fuse. I know we knew that eating healthy was the right way.
Yeah.
But the kids were so accustomed to eating as they please. So to get that transition out to as they're kids at any day, to get that transition to eating healthy was a task.
Yeah.
Right. So the kids were really like, who's this woman that has come on? I just want to touch you. And, So that was a challenge, but we found a way to fuse the two. Yeah, we found a way to fuse the two where we took the normal eating habits and we add nutrition value into it.
Yeah, we didn't try. Like, I realized I had to back off a little bit and give them space. And maybe not always be so harsh, but then at the same time letting them know certain things weren't going to run, like not finishing your food, but then 10 minutes later still coming to ask for snacks. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. And then we just agreed on like certain things that we weren't going to allow in the house. That kind of stuff. What did you think you continued with that might have been a challenge for me? I'm not, it's nothing instantly coming. So you were a little bit more flowy than me.
Yeah, I was, yes. Yes, I was a little more open with you. Because I actually always wanted to start eating healthy. So
no, I just mean in general. I don't mean with the eating healthy. I just mean in general. Yes, I know one.
But I know one. Yeah, I know one. Definitely know one. Yes.
Go ahead, boy. Let me drink my water.
Keeping things in certain places in the house. Jeez. Now that was a challenge by itself. Let me tell you. Claire was not allowing stuff to be left there and left here. And when a man come home, he want to put his shoes in the corner there. But he want to rest his hat there, his jacket there, No. We wasn't having. She wasn't having that at all.
We can just have another podcast about keeping a house clean. I think that's what we can do. Keeping a house clean and how men do it and how women do it.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a topic. Let me tell you, the men will call in for that for sure.
But keeping things as it were, and realizing that you're not on your own. You're not doing things the way you always did. I know one that you did or used to do, and I think we found a pretty okay blend. Basically, the way our homes are, Fabian's mom, the house of Fabian's mom, and our house is on the same property. So basically, Fabian grew up always having his mom around as a support network, and trust me, I believe Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to Auntie Hazel. She truly is a rock in our family. This woman is so solid inside, right? But for me, the challenge is that I was largely a single mom for quite a while. So I didn't have that. My mom worked, and my mom, not Auntie Hazel doesn't work, we're going with that, but I didn't always live around my mom when I had my son. So it was just like, when it came to prioritizing time for certain things and what's not, we had to work through what that looked like. And, I had to start being more understanding of what Fabian's mom was happy doing or not happy doing, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that took time.
Yeah, because basically Claire was always a person that, most of the time having to do stuff on her own. Yeah. So I guess the adjustment to having that assistance was not normal.
Not for me, it wasn't.
Right. So
my mom helped, but not being in the same house is a very different dynamic. So yes, that's number 2. This one is a tickly one. But not realizing that the ex is part of the family.
That was let me tell you, that was like strife galore.
James, thanks for the water.
Yeah, it's something that that couples need to, I don't know if to say accept, but you have to understand that the child came from another parent.
Yes.
And in order for the system to work, all persons have to be on board.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not.
Yes.
If you want a proper functioning family, all persons have to be on board.
Yeah.
Right? Unless the father or the mother is no longer part of the child's life altogether, that's the only way it's going to work.
I want to say, I don't think it was a case in our situation. I think that it was a little harder for Fabian's ex-partner at the time. And I think, to be fair to her, Fabian, you guys had a relationship for quite a while. And so, she had her own adjusting to do because we have smaller kids and, everyone's going to school. She had her own work agenda and so did I. And then she worked at night. So, I would have had the kids at certain times where I'm sure she would have preferred to, but she couldn't. So it's not a case necessarily of like, I know you guys are all there thinking, all sorts of other things going on in the background. No, but logistically dealing with the kids, that was more of the bigger issue, logistics of dealing with the kids. And she was only accustomed really to talking to you about it. Yeah. And then in I come, and it's just, we had to have a lot of conversation. She's not here with us any longer. That was a really, really hard pill that Fabian and I had to swallow recently. Which is a topic in and of itself, but unfortunately she's passed, and that, that's been a massive adjustment for the kids.
Definitely.
And for Fabian.
Definitely.
It's been tough, boo.
Yeah.
It's been tough. But we're here, and we're working through that. And then on my side, Manasseh's dad doesn't live here.
Yeah.
So what did that mean for you?
Well, for me, you had this discussion a few times already. I always knew from the time you came into my life that you were a package. So I knew that I needed to be that father figure for Manasseh.
Yeah.
So I always had it in my mental state where I have to do whatever I got to do to be father to this little boy.
Yeah.
Right? So whether he was here or not, I just had that in my mind. So I guess men think different than women. In that
Well,
regard.
I want to say that the next point sort of blends in with this one. And I think I definitely was way more challenging with this one to Fabian than vice versa. And that is basically not letting your partner parent your kid. And I feel that the issue arises particularly with either two situations, either where you have a teenager who's older and not accustomed to that person.
That would be difficult.
That's difficult. Or in my case, I was a single mom for most of Manasseh's life, and being his dad didn't live here, I had no one to ever bounce things off of. So, you know, I had to really like work through that. And the way a man, a mom can be very strict and a mom can be very firm, but let us be honest here. There's nothing like when a dad has to talk, and a dad evokes a certain, a very different type of respect or fear response in kids. So my natural protectiveness would come out a lot harsher in situations where you needed to speak to Manasseh.
Yes. That was.
I know I've been hard,
that was definitely
hon.
a challenge, boy. So let me tell you, like trying to discipline Manasseh and like as she said, she would bring that female love entity into Manasseh's life, but then the man now has to bring out the male figure. You understand that strength, that courage. You understand that willing to do what it takes to make a home what it is. So me on my end trying to do that, it was a little challenging at first with Claire because it's like she was like, no,
Don't speak to him like that.
So yeah, that was a challenge at first, definitely. But
And I think I realized over time I had to tune in a bit more to when you were speaking to all of the kids. And realizing that in actual fact, your tone, is actually very similar with all of them.
That's the mother's protective intuition that has always be there. It's like this my child, and you know that fear of it being hurt or.
Listen, when you feel like your child is being attacked, right, in any kind of way, whether small or large, like you can see in your imagination the fangs coming out your claws. You can see them. Right. And I had to work through that. I had to work through that with time, you know. So woo. Some serious reflection going on in here today.
I can tell you this. Any day, that's what we say in front of the very first intersection of the podcast is that the journey, it was a learning experience.
Yeah. And
most of what we have accomplished is because we kept finding the love. And honestly, we had a lot of help. We had a lot of friends out there, good friends.
Yeah, who would have to come and sit down and talk to us and coach us through it.
Yeah.
I think one a really key point that someone said to us, a good friend of ours said that there's so much to get adjusted to. And sometimes you want to make a lot of things perfect or better too quick.
Yeah.
And you don't understand the natural progression of the challenge or the evolution of the challenge, right? So we had to give ourselves a little slack sometimes.
Yeah, because we was trying to get too much achievement in just the first year of our relationship.
We had to cut us some slack. I want to skip from there. I don't want to do that point yet. I'm going to go straight to this one because this is a big one. This one here is a big one. Sibling rivalry.
Wow.
And we know that they have plenty of you guys, even in your own damn family, who ain't blended. You have sibling rivalry, man.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I had my sibling rivalry with my brother, so I know that would have been a challenge from the get-go. So especially knowing that the kids having a stepbrother coming into their life, right? That adjustment of itself was another challenge too to deal with. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then I had an 8-year age difference between myself and my sister, so I really didn't even have that sibling rivalry at all. Yeah. You know, so again, it was like two opposites. But I think for us, the biggest sibling rivalry were between my son and Fabian's eldest son because they were closer in age.
Yep.
You know, and they still do.
Still big at one of them.
Still do.
Still big at one of them.
But I want to say two important things, and this is regardless to whether you're blended or not blended. Don't get twisted with children, right? And this really sunk in one day. Kids will quarrel till the cows come home. I mean, bad, you know. And you see in 5 minutes time, them don't forget what they were quarreling about, and they happy and hugging up and playing. Meanwhile, you as the parents frazzle out. You understand? Yeah. Frazzle out, right? Yeah. And I sat them down one day and I said, listen to me. You see this thing that going on here? Daddy and I are not getting in these types of discussions and disagreements with you guys anymore. Because you're causing us to we're taking sides, for one. We get angry. We go to bed at night upset. And you guys go to bed totally fine.
Happy as ever.
Totally fine.
Happy as ever.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you think we deal with it a little differently now?
I think that we don't just jump to every time you hear somebody crying and screaming. We don't react like how we used to.
We give them space.
Space to sort out their differences. If it comes to the point where we know we start hearing screams and like loud
if it sounds like it's getting out of control,
then we intervene. But otherwise, we actually give them that space to be kids. To learn to sort out their own stuff.
Yep.
But that's part of growing up. Because at any day, both me and Claire, we are not always going to be there where they have their issues with other friends, other people that they will be surrounding themselves with. So the best learning is at home.
Yeah.
Right?
I think what I have is a little bit of a stronger point than you. And I say this in terms of memory, is that I've realized sometimes you have to remind the kids, and you probably got to do it with adults too, but they'll have a particular situation and one will be clearly wrong in the situation, but then the tables will turn in another situation where the other person that was being wronged is doing the wrong. So you tend to have to, not necessarily drag up the past, but you do refer back to it so that they understand how it felt to have it done to them.
Yeah, I do that with Fabio, because Fabio is one of these kids that he likes stuff done particular.
Yeah, he's very particular. It's a great word.
So if he doesn't get it done that way, he gets very highly annoyed. So then when the tables are turned though, and the other kids want it done a particular way, then I always tell Fabio, see, now remember when you wanted it done that way? See how it's feeling now? You have to give that person that respect now because you wanted it done that way. So what are you going to do? So yeah.
I'm laughing at another situation. I'm not going to call names in this one. I'm not going to call names and put any of the boys in trouble. But one of Fabian's daughters got really upset. She didn't want one of the boys sleeping in her bed because she said that he digs his nose, right? And then it was like, then I know what happened. And then, so she got really upset and she was like crying her head off. I don't want to sleep in my bed. And I said, okay, no problem. But it was okay for her to go and sleep in their bed. She could go and lie down and do as she pleased. So I said, all right, no problem. From this point forward, you sleep in your bed and the boys are not coming in your room. And then 2 weeks later, she's doing something. I'm not going to say what she was doing, but it was not the most nicest, girliest things to be doing. And one of her brothers had to point it out, and she got really upset. And I was like, no. You are scornful and you don't like nastiness, so don't do nastiness back to your brothers. It's simple as that.
Yep.
Simple, you know?
Yeah, she didn't like that at all.
Parenting, boy. Parenting, you need a guidebook.
I need to tell you something. I have to give all the respect to the true fathers and mothers out there that actually take their time to really, focus on the kids, be spending time with the kids, talk to the kids and stuff, because it is a very hard job.
Patience at Job. Yeah. Patience at Job.
It's a very hard job. So.
How do you give each child enough attention? I honestly don't even know if I've mastered this.
Me either.
I don't even know sometimes.
It's like you're trying to balance between giving them a good life and giving them that attention to be a better person.
It's not only that, hun. It's like there's attention to your job, there's
That's what I
attention to
mean.
yourself, there's
Job,
attention to your
yourself.
partner.
Right.
There's so many things that
You gotta, balance. It's like a balance, and it's a hard.
sometimes
balance.
I hate that word.
Yeah.
I really do. But I the only thing that I feel has worked is structure. And by structure, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think that we've mastered in terms of each individual child getting their attention per se. I think perhaps maybe the biggest challenge of that is with your older daughter who might not want to take part in the activities for the younger kids. So, you know, I will try to do things like take her to the beach by herself, and then I know sometimes you have taken her out for, you know, food and stuff by herself, or a bike ride by herself. But where the younger ones are concerned, it's they also have to understand attention that we need by ourselves. So we've got pretty strict rules in terms of them just traipsing in and out of our bedroom, bedtimes. You know, they know that certain times on the weekend we'll definitely take them out to the beach once they've finished certain things. But it's got to be consistency and structure, because otherwise it's impossible to do everything.
Yeah, to manage. I guess it's like setting up a business. Yeah.
Well, yeah, running a home like a business sometimes.
It's just like setting up a business. You got structure in place. You got plans, and then you got to be able to execute them. So, yeah, it's basically like running a business.
Yeah. These ones here I don't think are as harsh, but to some degree, yes. Not explaining to your kids what's going on.
One of the challenges I had before Krista had passed was explaining what's going on with her to the kids, because she didn't want that pressure on them.
Right.
She wanted them to be able to do their schoolwork and focus on
that
other stuff. So trying to explain certain things to them at the time was really difficult, really challenging. And I even to the last few days, my youngest daughter, she's a person that feels
very intuitive.
Stuff. Yeah. So she was like, "Daddy, I need to go and see mommy." And we didn't want her to see her like that, but she said, "No, I need to go and see my mommy." And that day, I say, "No, I can't refuse my daughter from seeing that, because then I may end up regretting it." And I glad it followed my mind, because she got to hug her mom for the last before she passed, and that was a real rewarding thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a difficult conversation to have. Really, really hard. But also explaining to them, like us, like, you know, what's going on with us, and just being a new family. I think one of the things that comes to mind with this point is you were a lot more lenient than I was in the beginning about letting the kids sleep in your room. That was
she was not having that at all.
Happening on my clock. And I don't mind. I'm not that harsh in terms of, you know, if on an occasional odd night you have a bad dream and you need to come and lay down with mommy and daddy and all that kind of stuff, but not as regularly as you allowed in the beginning. And I think one of your sons, Fabio, took that really hard, because he's very close to you.
Under me regular.
From a baby.
Yeah. Because another story is that me and my mom actually brought Fabio into this world.
Right, she delivered him.
In my bathroom. So I was trying to get her down to the hospital, but we couldn't make it in time.
Right.
So you had no choice. So it was like Fabio has that connection to me.
Yeah. So he kind of like he I think he resented me for that for a little bit. But what I did, what I think helped a lot was, again, getting them into a structured bedtime routine, and, you know, hugging him up a little bit more at night. Like, I realized he needed to have that extra security at nighttime, reading them bedtime stories and that kind of thing, so he didn't feel that.
You know, funny enough, I never had a bedtime story read to me yet. So, like, that was something new for me too, and I actually liked it. seeing it happen, and it's like that was saying. There's different stuff that in our journey that we have brought to the table.
Wait, can I can I interrupt on this one? So he wasn't accustomed to reading bedtime stories, right? But the really, really, really hilarious part is that Fabian reads awesome bedtime stories.
Yeah, we put character in it.
Like the man, the first time I heard him read a story, I was like, wait, this is the same person that doesn't like bedtime stories? The man's got character voices out of this world.
Yeah, man, you gotta add to it. You gotta add something. You gotta add a flair to it, man. You can't let it be boring.
Sorry, man, I couldn't let that one
so
not
you
happen.
see, that's weird. No, when she started doing it, and I fed off of Claire a lot in our relationship. I will not tell you. I fed off of her a lot in our relationship. It was a good thing. And that was one. The reading the bedtime stories, and trust me, these kids is always be looking forward for a bedtime story. I used to say it on movies and stuff, but I know. I'll be honest. You don't really hear black people reading bedtime stories to the kids. Not really.
It's portrayed more as a yeah. I get that.
So to be part of it and to be doing it, it felt good.
Yeah.
Seeing the children's facial expressions, and the expectations to see it happening and stuff, that was rewarding for me.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say we don't get it done necessarily every night. So there's some nights that we do, but then there are other nights that we let them go to bed with a book, so that they calm down. We try really hard to take away the tablets by a certain time at night, but it provides that space to let them, calm and be restful. So not explaining things to your kids and giving them a space to express things that are frustrating them.
You have to allow
really
a child to have his or her voice.
Yeah, with respect.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Realizing the difficulties that stepkids face.
I know one difficulty that we had in the adjustment was Manasseh was accustomed to just him and his mom.
Yeah.
So adjusting to sharing his mom with someone else.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah,
good
that
point.
Was one that took a little while.
It did. It really did.
Jealousy in his eyes when I hugging up mommy, kissing up mommy is like he's looking at you like, and then somebody you even want to get between like.
Yeah, your daughter does that too, but we laugh at it now. It's funny. It's funny. Anytime, but it's only the two of them that really do that. Anytime they see myself or Fabian hugging up, one of the two of them will give us side glances and try to squeeze in between the two, Yeah. So, but that's a really valid point. He did take a little while with that one, and sometimes he'll still say to me, "Mommy, can me and you just do something special together?"
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. Yeah. And actually, I've said to Fabian too, and I think this is really important for step parents to understand. Give your partner space without you.
Yeah,
to be with your kid, to be with their kids.
Yeah, and that's something that I guess society has it that when you marry a person, you're no longer allowed that space. Everything is supposed to be done in a family unit together all the time, and that's so. I don't want to say if it's wrong or right, but it is something that could be adjusted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because they had your partner would have had a life with their kids that did not involve you, and I think even if you are from the same parents, like there needs to be room for individual things, relationships to connect. And I know like there were once or twice where I would tell you to do that, and I think you had it in your head a few times that this wouldn't be a good thing, and how would I feel about it, and what would it look like to Manasseh, and I'm like, no, just if you have occasional things that you did special with your kids, go take them, do that, and they'll be all the better for it. Yeah. Realizing that it takes work. Well, that speaks for itself.
Definitely.
That speaks for itself.
And it's not work today and not tomorrow. It's work every
day. Yeah, every day.
I don't get it twisted. Me and Claire, we aren't perfect. We just have we battles. We just have our challenges the same way. So when people follow me on social media, they think that my world is so
smiles.
perfect. And if you don't know this bright woman that I got. Right now, so you come up, man.
Hot like pepper.
Yeah, boy. So
Hot like pepper. But the key that I really love about our relationship, and I really hope that we always keep that, is coming back to the table, putting on the table what the real problem is. And that takes time to figure out, because sometimes it can seem, when you're picking at things, it can seem very surface, and you have to really pull down your insecurities and your vulnerabilities and express that to your partner. Going back to being a single mom and being able to express to you how scary that was at certain times. You're with your kid, you don't always feel protected, and talking about that, and I think it took about a good year and a half and some before I really had that conversation with you. And you have to, if not, you can't truly solve the problem. Yeah, but it does take work. Spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, in every direction.
Definitely stay at work.
Yeah. And then lastly, I think we're coming down to the last and final point, and that is basically that your family looks different, and people are going to have their opinions about it.
Definitely will have their opinions. And I remember when Claire went to the beach with all the kids, and a guy has started asking me, "Are those all your kids?" And looking at them and saying, "But this one don't really hurt that one."
And of course I tell them yes. Because then what usually comes after that is, how she got she body like that with 5 kids? I'm like, oh, well, of course. I could take full credit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing that some certain persons may have to deal with. Some may be even more difficult than others, because you may have a fully white person, fully black person, and they will have the child, and society has
you can clearly see that the child is not.
Society
not
will have
there,
that. This is not right, and that's the thing. That word, right. What is right?
I think that it's opened up a lot now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely see a lot more mixed families. I think what might have been more challenging on our end was people being a little judgy of the fact that you had 4 kids.
Yeah.
And, there would be comments dropped, and I'm not saying that I have taken on a big responsibility and a big part of that. But I think for me, I feel like if I were in your shoes, and it happens a lot with women, actually the reverse, that women will come to a table with more than 1 kid, and oftentimes a man will come with no kids
and pick up,
right? Yeah. And still pick up slack. And if we are really going to be serious about understanding what equality means, which is a whole different discussion in and of itself, but equality, if it is that it's right or okay for a woman to have support and society be okay with a woman having support, then it should equally be as fair to a man. And also, and this is where my Mother's Day message comes out, as a mom, you don't know what time will be given to you. I can only pray that the universe is kind to me and allows me to be with our kids for as long as possible and enjoy their kids. But it may not happen that way. I don't know. And if that is the case, then I would always want that whoever woman ends up being a caretaker for them, whether that be an aunt, a granny, a friend, somebody you may move on with, I don't know. I want them to love my kids the way I would love my kids.
I think even you saying that, I know Crystal wanted that, and I know she knew that her kids was in safe hands before she closed her eyes, and that's one thing that I appreciate about this whole situation is that we had actually gotten to that space where we had that communication with each other to
all three of us.
All three of us.
Yeah, definitely. We evolved.
Yeah, definitely.
Woo! This is a big one today. Oh boy. Big one. You feeling all right, Han?
I'm feeling good.
We sharing some seriously intimate moments with you guys, but this is why we did this podcast, because we want to be real, and we know there are plenty of people out there in the same boat. Some people don't even know where to find the paddle to swim and could be going in all sorts of directions. Or there may be some people who've conquered even more than the two of us, and you might have some serious nuggets of wisdom to share.
Now you say that, I got two people that I have admired for years. That is, when you say a true love, this couple has been through it all. And I got to shout out to my boy Jerry Dan.
Hey.
Empress Cat. That is a true love story there. That is definitely a true love story there. And
we hope to get them on the show.
Yeah, definitely. I admire the journey that those two took and where they're at today.
And they're a mixed race couple as well.
Mixed race couple as well. So, yeah.
All right, peoples, to the mummies out there, I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Celebrate it with your family. Enjoy. I hope you get spoiled. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but the only one way that I know I could get spoiled is if I don't have to get out of my bed in the morning. Nobody comes to knock at the door, and somewhere around 8-9 o'clock, I get breakfast. That's it. I don't want anything else. Okay.
I think she's hinting something. She's hinting something. People say, okay.
Till next episode.
Yes, this is Life
In red and black.